Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another video with the Everyday Epic. Today we're going to be talking about our 2022 book stats, our reading year wrap-up. 2022. Disappointing year for me in reading, I would have to say.
Mine wasn't particularly wonderful, but overall. I read some good books, so I'm not too unhappy about it.
Yeah, mainly more so for me, I think, is every year I do the Goodreads reading challenge, and I think that I just have too high of expectations for myself as a reader, because I have yet to meet my goal for a single year, and I've been doing it for very long, and I don't know, last year my goal was 50 books.
Oh, that's ambitious.
And I read 25. So yeah, it definitely was ambitious.
That was ambitious.
Was ambitious. But, I don't know, I know you read a whole lot more books than that.
I did. I set my goal for 30 books. So I was, I don't know, I guess I was trying to be low expectations. So I set mine for 30 basically because I thought, okay, 12 books for book club. Surely I can read one more book a month. So that's 24. Yeah, I'll just make it even 30. And I ended up with, well, 40, but technically 41. I just DNF'd one halfway through. So 40, really. That's what my stats are based on, is 40 books. But there was a 41. I almost finished it, but just couldn't manage it.
Alright, well, we're going to go into, like, kind of breaking down all of the books that we read up into some different categories. And why don't we start with our ratings for the books?
Okay.
So, my average rating last year was 3.5 stars, which wasn't really that bad at all. Like, it's a pretty, like, even year. I had no 1 stars, no books that I DNF, so yay. I had 3 2-star books, 8 3 stars, 13 4 stars, and 1 5-star book. I mean, I guess looking at those stats, it looks like I had a pretty successful year.
It wasn't bad. A lot of 4 stars in there. Out of mine, I had, my average rating was 3.6. And I did have the 1 book I DNF'd. I had no 1 stars. I had 4 2 stars, 14 3 stars, 16 4 stars, and 6 5 stars.
Dang.
Yeah.
You did read some good books.
Like every book club book I said was 3 stars pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was pretty in the middle, but 16% were 5 stars. So I really feel like I read some good books.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you read some good books.
I did read some good books.
I'm sad that they weren't our book club books, but
you know, yeah.
2023 is a new year.
It is a new year.
Let's do pages. Number of pages read. And I didn't write down my total number of pages read, because I'm a slacker. Oh, no.
While she's looking hers up.
Yeah,
I did. I had 14,839 pages read for an average of 371 pages per book. So that's, fairly average. So I had some pretty short ones, and I had a couple pretty long ones too. So my shortest book was 226 pages, which was Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John. And my longest book was All the Light We Cannot See at 552 by Anthony Doerr. But there was a couple of 500-page books in there that I had, so it wasn't... It was the longest, but not by a whole lot.
I read a much lower amount, of course. 9,487 pages read for an average of 379 pages. My shortest book was 121 pages, and that was The Turn of the Screw. Hated that book, don't read it. And my longest book was 705 pages, and that was Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky.
Oh my gosh.
Highly recommend that book.
Wow.
Amazing book. Might be 700 pages, but I flew through that like nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big boy.
You wouldn't expect me to read a book like that.
I would not. That was a big boy.
Willingly, yeah.
Willingly.
But yeah, aside from that, the majority of my books were around 250 to 400 pages. There were 5 of them that were more than 400 pages, and I had 2 that were less than 250. So overall it was a pretty like
Kinda
average
Yeah.
length of book.
Yeah.
So, yay. That's to be expected. That's not something that surprises me at all.
Yeah.
I shy away typically from bigger books.
Great big chunky things.
Yeah, my cats are the only chunky things in my life. So. Now, do we want to get into authors?
Sure.
Talk a little bit about the authors.
Sure.
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 So, I thought it would be kind of cool to like break down authors that we've read from before, authors we read for the first time, and authors that we read multiple books from in 2022. So, for me, I had 3 authors that I've read books from prior to 2022, and that was Stephen King, Taylor Jenkins Reid, and Stephen Chbosky. I had 18 authors that I read for the first time in 2022. Not very many that I'm going to read from again in 2022, quite frankly, but that's okay. And then authors that I read multiple books from in 2022 was Grady Hendrix, Taylor Jenkins Reid, and Riley Sager. Actually, Riley Sager, I think I read like 3 or 4 of his books in 2022.
Do you like his books?
His books are pretty meh. They bounce between 3 and 4 stars, so I mean, they're not, I don't hate them. But I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's all for an upcoming experiment.
Oh,
so.
okay. Never mind. Never mind. I had 3 authors that I had read from before. Neil Gaiman, Charlie Holmberg, and Taylor Jenkins Reid. So, and I read 2 Neil Gaiman books this year. So that's 4 books out of my 41 was a familiar author. So yeah, I read a lot the first time. And again, you're right. A lot that I will not read again. but some I will. So Patricia McKillip, I read, oh lordy, I don't know how many of her books were in there. 3, 4 of those. Grady Hendrix, I read 2 of his this year. Neil Gaiman, I read 2 of his. So there was like 3 authors I read, more than 1 this year. Not sure why, but I did. I did.
Not sure why.
Not sure why. No, I do know why, because there was only one of them that I was really iffy about. The others I liked. So, but yeah, other than that, everybody was a new author. So 38-ish, 37.
Math is hard, but yeah.
37 new authors that I tried out this year.
That is a lot.
Yeah, and yeah.
And not many that you're going to go back to.
Not many I'm going to go back to. There's some. I mean, there's quite a few. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, the whole bottom of that list, I'm not going to go back to. I did a spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets.
See, Kelly's on top of things over here.
I like spreadsheets.
I love spreadsheets too. I just am a slacker.
Didn't do it.
I'm a slacker.
Yep.
Yep. Here I am.
Yeah, that's alright.
I admit it. I'm past the denial stage. This is acceptance now.
I am.
Genres. This is gonna come as no surprise to me, just because I know me and I know what I like, and that is anything spooky, kooky, and Halloweeny and all of that stuff. So my top genre was thriller and horror. I love reading those books. I'm gonna continue reading those books. Stephen King, my man. And yeah, so I read 11 thriller/horror books. I had 2 romance books. Again, not a surprise. I'm not a romance reader. There were 4 historical fiction, 2 YA books. There were 3 nonfiction books. I had 2 fantasy books and then 1 general fiction.
Well, as Amy said, for hers being no surprise, neither is mine, because fantasy is by and large my favorite genre. So over half of mine were fantasy books at 21. Close to that, I did break out the mythological retellings like Circe, because I felt like it was kind of different. And I don't know. I guess I'm just crazy that way. But I read 2 of those. I read 4 historical fiction. I read 8 horror, mystery, thriller type books. I know. Give me that look.
I never would have expected that from you.
I know. My second highest was horror.
Did you like them?
No. But
did you like any?
I did. Well, because I classified Mexican Gothic
Okay.
as horror.
As it should be.
As it should be.
As it should be.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yes.
I like that one.
Job with that book.
One, magical realism, and normally I would lump that in probably with fantasy too, but what I read was The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende, and you really just can't classify it as fantasy. At least I couldn't. So, and it wasn't really it's historical fiction, but it's magic. I don't know. So I just left it alone. 2 science fiction, 1 contemporary general fiction, and 1 nonfiction. They're pretty broad, but still.
Yeah.
The majority was fantasy. And that will be the same, I'm sure, this year.
Series.
I
know in 2021 I read a lot of series, and that's normally kind of like my bread and butter. Like, I do love a good series. However, 2022, I only started 1 series. There weren't any that I continued. There weren't any that I finished. So Beartown was the only series that I started, and I didn't even know that it was a series when I started the book. It was on my TBR, and I'd always wanted to read it, and I am going to continue on with that series. I really did enjoy Beartown a lot. I think it was a 4-star read for me. That's all I got for series in 2022.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's so sad.
Let me make it up for you.
Okay.
So I had 8 that I started. None that I continued, none that I finished, but 8 that I started. And 7 that I plan to continue.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, so the one I did not was V.E. Schwab, A Darker Shade of Magic. I did not like that book. So I'm not going to go on with that one. So the rest of them, the highest rated one that I had was N.K. Jemisin, the 5th season, which I will actually be talking about in a minute because it's one of my 5 best. Kind of a dystopian world. It's really hard to describe, but what's really intriguing about this book is the world keeps ending. There's like apocalyptic happenings that go on like every so often, and they have different names for these ages and the stuff that goes on, and you follow this one main character obviously as she goes through, and she's been separated from her daughter, and so she's trying to make her way through this world to try and find her daughter. But anyway, that's not this part of the deal. So the 5th season, there are 3 books in that series, and I plan on continuing that. The next one is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, which I mentioned earlier. Really love that book. There's 3 books in that, or no, there's 4 books in that series, so I will be continuing that one. Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. Really good book as well, so yes, I'm definitely 3 books there. A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. It's a duology, and I actually do have the second one right over here.
Oh.
Not in there. I have a big old pile down here. It's over there. One I reread, that was another one. I reread a book this year for our Spooky Rex, which was Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendari Blake.
I still need to read that.
Yeah, you do need to read that. But I just recently found out that that's a duology as well, and I did not know that. Baron the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. 3 books in that series. And finally, Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. I think, I'm sorry if I butchered that. I believe that is like an episodic ongoing sort of series, so I'm not sure. I wasn't terribly impressed with Library of the Dead, but I think it was mainly because it's the first book in a really long series, so a lot of the world building is still to come, I think. So I'm gonna try another book and see. I like the world enough. I like the setup enough. To me, parts of the story fell down, but I'm hoping that's just because it's the start of a series, but I don't even know how many books are out. I think there's 3 books out in that, but it's not near done, so.
I think the final stats or whatever that I have is just the top 5 best and top 5 worst of 2022. Kind of round it all out in that way.
There you go.
So, let's do worst first.
Okay.
So my top 5 worst, in no particular order, are gonna be, well,
Except for this one.
My absolute worst read of 2022 was Turn of the Screw.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I hated that book. I hated it so much. It was only 121 pages, and I about DNF'd it. Yeah. Did not like it. But my other 4 worst or whatever, in no order, is going to be My Sister the Serial Killer, Silence of Trees, Who Fears Death, and Cersei. So, book club really coming through with the books in 2020.
There it is.
Yep.
There it is. Okay, so my worst. My worst of the year was Who Fears Death. For reasons that y'all can go look at.
Yeah, watch that live stream.
Watch the live stream. Or don't. You really, it's just bad. Okay, so anyway, other than that, probably, well, yeah, my next, I would put this, The Midnight Library, definitely next. After that, these 3 were probably just equally bad. So My Sister the Serial Killer, The Cartographers, which I was so sad about because it had such a good premise to it. And also this one, The Maid. Again, such a good premise and such a poor execution. So, yeah. You want to know why I dog on Goodreads? Because this was one of their finalists. So there you go. That's why I dog on Goodreads awards.
On a happier note, our top 5 best books of 2022.
Yeah.
It was a little bit harder to make this list. My best read, though, People Meet on Vacation. I never would have thought that a romance would be my #1 book from 2022, but I loved every minute of that book. And I'm so excited for our next book club discussion because it's by the same author.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be reading book reads, book
lovers.
Book lovers. In March for our live for book club, and yeah, after People We Meet on Vacation, I'm just gonna read everything Emily Henry puts out. So yeah, it was amazing.
There you go.
My other 4 best was The Institute by Stephen King, Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin, and then Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Okay, so I am not going to put this in, I don't think, okay, no, I am going to say that I think my best read of the year was Kaikei by Vaishnavi Patel. A mythological retelling and basically what Cersei wish it was. Yeah, it was really close between my other favorites of the year, but I remember I read this in like January, February of last year, and at the time said, if I find a book better than this year, I will have an excellent reading year. And surprisingly, I did find some very good books, but I still think this was my favorite. So, it's a really good book. Really good. Okay, after that, I would say these 2 came in pretty close, which is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. And if you've watched any videos with us, you know I keep coming back to this book.
Yep.
Love this book. Also one of the shorter books. There was one shorter, but that was one of the short ones. Love it. Read it. And then Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. This was such a fun book, and it was so pretty, and it's kind of a, oh God, I just don't even know. It's just so pretty. But it was kind of a Baba Yaga influence book, Russian folklore.
Okay.
But they have these, the two Yaga siblings. They inherit this sentient house. And so the house actually has a point of view in the book, and the house tells about its history, and it talks about the pogroms of World War II against the Jews. And I mean, there was a part in here that ripped my heart out. It was so sad, and I cried, and it was beautiful. So highly, highly recommend this book. This is actually her debut novel as well. And it was so good. So I'm really looking forward to whatever she puts out next. And then to round it out, as I said, was The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. And The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. So cute. So cute. Little boy grows up in a graveyard. It was one of my spooky recommendations. It's so cute. So that was my year. So yeah, I really felt like I had some really good top reads. Made up for the rest.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There it is.
There it is. Our 2022 reading years.
Year in review.
2023. Let's
Better. It's gonna be better.
Yep. Yep.
It is.
We are saying it now. It will be better. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add for the video. If you guys enjoyed watching our 2022 wrap up here, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go on down to the little red subscribe button below the video and click on it so that way you can join the Everyday Adventure family. Get to see our beautiful faces every Sunday at 3-ish p.m.
Ish.
Ish. Because one of us is usually running late. But you know, within 15 minutes of 3, we're usually, yeah.
Ish. As long as she's finished the book.
Yeah, you know.
And we don't spend a half an hour finishing the book. So you don't really need to read that last. Don't read that last chapter. You don't need to read that.
We don't need to talk about that. That was 2022, Amy.
It's over.
Different.
It's over. New year,
new me.
New year, new you. We are ready.
We're ready.
We are ready.
But yeah, so you'll get to see
but
that.
Yes, 3-ish. And if you came here for book stuff, you should check out the rest of the channel because Amy has all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, there's something for everybody on the channel.
There is.
Yeah. It's a hodgepodge, just like...
Why do just one when you can do it all?
Exactly.
Why?
Just because I'm indecisive, that's why.
It works. There's always something interesting. You never know what you're going to get.
That's true.
It could be home decor. It could be a shopping haul. It could be fashion.
It could be ghost hunting.
It could be. It shouldn't be. But it could be. Or it might be books.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Just like me and my multiple personalities, you never know what you're going to get.
You never know what you're going to get.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching our video here. And yeah, that you keep coming back.
Yeah.
And seeing what we have to say. That's all.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all, folks.
Alright, well, like I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm Amy.
And I'm Kelly.
And we're the
Everyday Epic.
Bye.
See ya.